Paying fees was like what I never think about, but it looks like a silent killer of your business.
Every time you receive a payout, we break that payout down into sales, refunds, fees, all the taxes on those items, and we break them down into a granular level so that you can understand exactly where your profits are coming from. We surveyed 100 people, questionnaire them, and we realized that 75% of those were actually overpaying tax in some way or another. And the one that you can do the most about and the biggest impact on your profitability is that long-term storage fee. If you have goods in Amazon that have been there for more than 90 or 180 days, they will start to charge you a ramped up storage fee on top of your normal storage fees. The real important thing is making sure that you've got accurate financials so that you can make better financial decisions about running your business and you can be a more profitable seller. Going back to my favorite motto, which is revenue is vanity, profit is sanity.
Hi everyone, welcome to Seller Assistant Talks, the show where we talk with Amazon sellers, service provider and partners. I'm Oleg Kuzmenkov, the founder of Seller Assistant. Seller Assistant is a tool that helps online arbitrage and wholesale sellers to find and analyze products on Amazon. If you're an Amazon seller and want to learn more and grow, you're in the right place. Today's guest is Daniel Little. He is a co-founder and CEO of LinkMyBooks, a fast-growing SaaS platform helping e-commerce sellers and their accountants to automate their bookkeeping. He got you covered in accounting so you finally get back to running your business and do not worry about your books. We'll talk about why most e-commerce sellers are losing profit and how to fix it with automated bookkeeping. By the end of this episode, you will understand the most common e-commerce accounting mistakes and how to avoid them. The hidden cost of manual bookkeeping. How automation your accounting can save hours, reduce stress, and increase profits without needing a finance degree. Real-life examples of sellers who turn their numbers around and what you can learn from them. Daniel knows everything about bookkeeping for e-commerce. Daniel, welcome to the show. I'm happy to see you here.
Well, thank you, Oleg. I think that was probably the best introduction I've ever had.
Yeah, thank you. I just did your background and found that you're doing a great job in accounting, and you help a lot Amazon sellers. So let's speak about that. What is your story?
So my story is that I have been in the seller's shoes. So I'm an ex-Amazon seller myself. So from 2013 to 2018, I scaled and eventually sold 2 FBA businesses. So started off as retail and online arbitrage, doing a bit like what your customers do, like looking for profitable products to resell on Amazon, and then moved into private label. For those who are from that time, I did Amazing Seller Machine as one of the courses that taught me how to do private label. And over that period of probably 4 years while I did private label, I scaled both businesses to 7 figures and sold them for 7 figures.
How did you get in accounting?
Along the way, when I sold the first business, I realized the error of my ways in terms of accounting and bookkeeping, because when I went to the broker to put the business up for sale, I went to Empire Flippers, and they had to redo all the books basically because I had been doing cash accounting and everything needed to be done in accrual accounting, and I hadn't been doing everything correctly and my accountant hadn't been flagging it. And I think that was a pretty typical picture back in sort of 2014 because I was just using a local accountant. I was their only e-commerce client. I think nowadays a lot of the accountants are a lot more savvy around e-commerce. But I, at the time, was just thinking that I wish there was a software that could get this information from Amazon and just stick it into my Xero account so that it was just done and it was accurate. And I sort of went into the second business with that sort of idea at the back of my mind. And I knew what I was doing this time. I found an accountant who was willing to do it properly, but it was really expensive, because the old accountant was just basically rubber stamping what I did and I was doing it wrong. And the new accountant was doing it correctly, but it was taking them a long time to do it. And so when I came to sell that business, I thought, right, okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to fix this. I want to find a way that we can create a software that can do all this automatically. It's got to be possible. And there was one other player in the market doing it at the time, a big company in the US, and they weren't really in the UK market at all. And so that's where I thought, okay, well, I'm from the UK. I know a lot about running a UK-based e-commerce business now. let's start there. And so that's when LinkMyBooks was born back in 2018.
Actually, it's like a big problem for that. And I know a lot of sellers, even myself, we have problems with bookkeeping. And, there are a lot of bookkeepers who do common bookkeeping for like general, regular businesses who, calculate miles, etc. But nobody knows how to do bookkeeping for e-commerce the right way. So This is why I liked it here. I know you have a presentation which can help to understand how Amazon sellers can do their bookkeeping. But before we start, could you please clarify who is your main audience? Is it like only private label sellers, or you focus on resellers as well?
Our two ideal customer profiles are e-commerce merchants who are either private label, who are wholesale, who are retail or online arbitrage, like anyone, as long as you're selling on any of the 8 platforms that we support, which is, if I can get them right, Amazon, Shopify, Etsy, eBay, Walmart, TikTok Shop, WooCommerce, Square. I think that's everything at the moment. So if you're selling on any of those platforms and you're using Xero or QuickBooks to do your accounts, then we can help. We can basically get your information from A to B and make sure that it's accurate, and also show you a load of insights as well. But then also the second ICP we have is accountants and bookkeepers. And we have lots of those who use our software, including the UK and the US's leading e-commerce accountants and bookkeepers. And they use our software because it can take a lot of time off their hands, basically. So that's our second ICP, is accountants and bookkeepers who have e-commerce clients.
Sounds very promising. Let's dive into it.
So let me jump into my slide. This is not going to be like a massive pitch for LinkMyBooks or anything like that. I want to deliver some genuine value. So what I'm looking at here is 3 ways that accurate accounting can boost your profitability. And before everyone falls asleep, because I know like accounting is not the most exciting topic out there, like it should be, because I always say this thing that revenue is vanity and profit is sanity. So unless you really truly know your numbers and you know where your profit is coming from, then you're not doing a great job as an entrepreneur, in my eyes. So 3 ways we can help you boost your profitability. So way 1, or reason 1, is to stop the bleeding. And basically, this is all to do with knowing where your profit is coming from, because most e-commerce sellers now will be selling across multiple channels. Like you can be selling on Amazon doing retail arbitrage, but you might also be doing some stuff on eBay. If you're a private label seller, you probably have a Shopify store or a WooCommerce store or something like that. Maybe you've got a little store in a shopping center as well, and you're doing some POS stuff. Like all of that comes into play. And so you really need to know a few things. You need to know where your profit is coming from. You need to know which are your optimizable costs, because you can't optimize everything, but you can optimize some things. And you need to know why you're profitable in some markets and not in others. And what would be really nice to know is how your business stacks up against industry averages. The where your profit is coming from is about focusing on your growing marketplaces that are profitable. Because if we look at this as an example, this comes from LinkMyBooks, where you can see that this seller is selling across 6 different channels. And whilst it might look at first that Amazon is where they're making like the most of their money sort of thing, the TikTok one on the right-hand side is actually slowly starting to creep up and is much more profitable. And so it's things like that. It's being able to see your finances in a way that can help you make decisions, which is really important in my eyes. Which are your optimizable costs? Well, as I said before, not everything can be optimized. You're looking at things like storage fees, advertising fees, and foreign exchange fees. All 3 of those you can do stuff about. Advertising is a really obvious one. Like you just need to be better at getting a better ROAS, or whatever they're calling it these days. You need to make sure that you're spending as little money as possible and getting as many sales as possible. And that's about optimizing your listings, making sure that you've got them that are very highly converting images, that you've got good reviews, like all the usual stuff. And all that will help you to do better at advertising, because that's the ground rules. But storage and foreign exchange fees are often overlooked. And the reason they're overlooked is because people don't separate them out in their bookkeeping. They just dump them all in as one fee. And storage is a really interesting one, especially with Amazon. If you use an FBA with Amazon, then they basically charge you 2 different types of storage fees. One is just a general storage fee, depending on how much space you're taking up in the warehouse. And the other one is a long-term storage fee. And the one that you can do the most about and the biggest impact on your profitability is that long-term storage fee. Because if you have goods in Amazon that have been there for more than 90 or 180 days, they will start to charge you a ramped up storage fee on top of your normal storage fees. And this gets really bad in quarter four. In quarter four, the long-term storage fees are ridiculous. So what you need to be doing to optimize for those things is to be identifying the marketplaces that have got these long-term storage fees. You need to be tracking down that inventory, and then you need to be doing flash sales, lightning deals, getting rid of it, getting rid of as much of that old stock as you possibly can, even if it means selling it at a small loss. It's better than it's sitting on the shelf and every single week costing you more and more in storage fees, because every week that goes by means that now it's going to be even less profitable when you sell it. So get rid of it, basically. And if you have to, remove it, keep it at home, and then send it back in 90 days later when they allow you to do it. And then the foreign exchange fees is another one that gets overlooked quite often. And that is if you're selling on foreign marketplaces like Amazon France, Amazon Germany, etc., as a UK seller, or Amazon Canada, Amazon Mexico as a US seller, then if you don't have a local bank account in that currency, then when Amazon pay you out, they'll pay you out in your home currency, and they'll charge you up to a 1.5% exchange rate fee. And so you can work with people like Payoneer, you can get a Wise bank account, you can get a Revolut bank account. There's all sorts of virtual currency bank accounts that you can get now, where you can get them to pay you out in the local currency, and then those companies provide you with a much better rate, like 0.5%. So you're saving 1% on all of the money that Amazon is paying you, which is a huge optimization of cost. And then you need to know why you're profitable in some markets and not in others. And that can be to do with, again, Forex fees, but return rates is a big one that I like. Like being able to see which of your marketplaces have got more returns and then deep diving on why. Why is that? And for me, as a personal experience, I had a really large return rate in Germany when I was selling my products back in the day. And what I realized was that German people like German language. They don't want English on the packaging. So making a small change of like just adding a German flag to a German website with German text on, and then adding some German instructions on the packaging, instant made a change to the return rates. So small things like that, again, you don't identify unless you've got accurate bookkeeping. And so that's why at the bottom here I've said that all these things can be identified from accurate bookkeeping and then optimized. And then, of course, we talked about how you would stack up against industry averages. And it's the age-old question, isn't it? Like, are my sales down this month? And so one of the things that we've just built into LinkMyBooks like a year ago is this benchmarking. So now you can look at not just how your business is performing, but also how your business is performing against all of the other businesses using LinkMyBooks. And this is done on like an anonymized basis, so no one gets to see each other's data. But I can see, for example, here, the sales growth, the average sales growth for this particular period of time is 0%, i.e. the business is flat. But my business is 37% growth this month, so I'm in the top 25%. But in the refund ratios, I'm also doing really, really well. Some of these things could be doing really badly, and you could look at why. So it's all about having the information and then doing something with it.
Foreign fees was like what I never think about, but it looks like a silent killer of your business.
100%. We'll come to that in a second.
Yeah.
So all of that was reason one. The next reasons aren't going to be quite as detailed. That's just my pain point that I like to press on. But number two is overpaying tax. This is another big one. Like we surveyed loads of people who came in the door early days with LinkMyBooks. We did like 100 people questionnaire them. And we realized that 75% of those were actually overpaying tax in some way or another. And it's to do with various things. It's just getting their bookkeeping generally wrong, like not applying the right tax rates. It's not separating out sales depending on where they're shipped to and from. It's declaring income as net revenue, and so many more reasons. And so I think the problem we have is that it's quite easy these days to start a business and start selling online, but it's more difficult to understand all of the business admin that goes with it. And bookkeeping and accounting tends to be one of the afterthoughts that people just think, I'll just start selling, and once I make money, I'll sort it out later. And whilst that's great, like I do agree with this, like run fast, break things and fix it later on approach. I think that when it comes to taxes, the governments don't think like that. The governments like to think that you pay them the exact right amount of tax, and if you don't, they will come after you and they will get it and they'll take penalties and it'll sometimes crush your business. And so I think that that's a key message for me, is that you need to make sure that you get your bookkeeping right from day one. And that even if you're an existing experienced seller out there and you've been doing this for many years and you're thinking, what's he talking about? My accountant does all this for me. I would just say that not all of those 75% of people were individual sellers. Some of them were accountants as well. And it's more common than you think that people get this wrong, because e-commerce accounting is really complicated. And anyone who tells you that it's not complicated, I would run a mile from them, because they're not telling the truth. So that's reason number 2. And then reason number 3 is just to be able to start making better growth decisions. And to be able to make better decisions about growth, you have to have a really solid data set, because better data doesn't always mean more data. It just means data that is easier for you to understand. And so if we take an analogy where you have a 1,000-page document which has everything about your Amazon business in there that you could ever need to grow, that's great. But if you had a ChatGPT that you could just ask some questions about your business and it could suggest some optional things to make things better, would that not make more sense? Like, it makes more sense to me to have something that can take all the data in and then spit out some good ideas for you. And I think there's a lot of softwares out there now that do that type of thing.
Do you have integrated ChatGPT in your software?
Not yet, no. I just used it as sort of an analogy, I think. But with LinkMyBooks, obviously, we are pulling in all the data from the sales channels, and then we are pushing it all across to your bookkeeping account. And we also have inbuilt financial analytics where you can look into your business in a sort of a very deep way. And then we also have the industry benchmarking, and all of those things have suggestions about growth along the way. So that's effectively what we are trying to do. We're trying to take these 3 things. So we're trying to make it so that you know the what, where, why, and how. We're trying to make it so that you pay the right amount of tax. And we're trying to make it so that you can have better data to make better growth decisions. And I think that's what I say at the bottom here is, like, accurate accounting is required for compliance and, like, to make sure that you're legally compliant. But understanding your accounts is essential for growth. And I think too many people now just rely on their accountant and just say, oh, my accountant does this for me, I don't really touch it. Like, this is your business that you are making decisions about growth every single day. You're adding new products, you're looking for new suppliers, you're trying to reduce your packaging costs, but you're not looking at your finances. Like, that doesn't make sense.
By the way, if you want to check your storage fees or fees Amazon charge you, use Seller Assistant. Seller Assistant help you to get all item level estimations for your products, and you can calculate your profitability before you make purchase decision.
Tools like Seller Assistant can obviously help before you even get to the point where you start selling these products. You can already know if there's going to be some level of profitability and return on investment in them. And I think that people will be happy to spend time doing that. Like, people would spend a whole day looking at new products and which are the most profitable ones. And then they start selling them and they just assume that those profitability levels will continue. Like, Amazon changes their costs pretty much every week. Like, new fees are being introduced all the time. And we all know that shipping costs can go like that. So it can change, tariffs can change. So it's really important that you don't just do that as a one-off exercise, that you look at it and think, yep, that's profitable, I'm going to sell that for the next 3 years. You need to know that it's continually profitable and it's continually driving your bottom line. So I think a little question for you, Oleg, just to put you on the spot here. Normally I do this as a webinar, so normally there's more people here. But 2 ways to increase your profit with better decisions. So 1 is to grow your business, and 2 is to optimize your business. Which do you think is the quickest win?
I think sometimes if your business is not optimized, if you grow your business, you grow your losses. So I think it's better to make sure that your business is well optimized and then start growing it. Otherwise, you can just burn more money if something went wrong.
Very good answer. And there is no right answer here. It's a trick question. Basically, you can take either way. But I think that is a very good answer, very good point, that if you are running an unoptimized business, which is leaking money, I always use the leaky bucket analogy. So imagine if you had a bucket and there was lots of holes in it. It doesn't matter how much you pour more water into that bucket. That's you trying to grow your business. The water is still just leaking out of the sides of the bucket. And so if you spend some time, first of all, plugging those holes and mending your bucket so that it leaks less or doesn't leak at all, then it's going to be much easier for you to then pour more water in and retain that profitability. And so I agree that optimizing your business is normally the quickest win, because to grow your business, you have to find new products, and then you have to find suppliers, and then you have to wait for those products to come, which can sometimes take 90 days, 120 days. Whereas to optimize your business, you could look at these things next week and you could implement changes the week after. So I 100% agree. But obviously both of them are required to really grow.
Yeah, I a SaaS developer, and in SaaS we have a few pillars. First one is acquisition, and second one is churn. When we do marketing and advertise our software, we grow our acquisition rates. But if our product is not good enough, we lose our users a few months later, and it's like a bucket with the holes. So we need to make our product good enough to reduce churn, and it allows to grow business. Otherwise you stuck at some point when your churn and acquisition on the same level.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the same with any business. If you take a good product, that'll obviously be better than a bad product. But I think in your analogy there, where you're saying that you're looking at churn and acquisition rates, imagine now that you had to go and manually grab all of that information and look at every single customer who placed an order and every single customer who cancelled, and manually put all that together. By the time you've done all that, your head's in a spin and you don't even know what you're looking at anymore. Whereas if you're using something like Stripe, which I'm guessing you probably are, then it'll gather all that information for you. You can download a nice clean report, and now you can look at it in a nice clean way. And I think that is very similar to what LinkMyBooks does. So this is my one slide. I'm going to talk about LinkMyBooks. That basically what we do is we take all of your information from your sales channels. So we take Amazon for an example. Every time you receive a payout, we break that payout down into sales, refunds, fees, all the taxes on those items, and we break them down into a granular level so that you can understand exactly where your profits are coming from. And all of that information gets fed through into Xero or QuickBooks so that you can have accurate financials, an accurate tax return. You can pay the right amount of tax and have the peace of mind that you've paid the right amount of tax. And then most importantly, you can make better decisions about how to grow your business. So I think that's where LinkMyBooks can help.
How sellers can register their expenses in your software? They just do it by by their hands, or you offer some automations or integrations? How does it work?
What we do is we take the information from the sales channels, i.e. your payouts from the sales channels, and that includes all your expenses for the sales channels. So your advertising fees, your storage fees, your FBA fees, seller fees, etc. But your other day-to-day business expenses, you would still enter those yourself in Xero QuickBooks just normally. So you would be uploading your bills from suppliers, you would be uploading your invoices for your virtual assistants or any softwares that you've got. You would put all of those directly into your bookkeeping system. What we are doing is we are taking the tricky bit of, instead of you manually having to download all the reports for all the orders you've made through Amazon and working out which ones have gone to which countries and what tax rates apply, like, we do all that for you, and it just automatically gets put into your Xero account. But interestingly enough, one of the things that we are looking at, which is really early days, and this will probably be the first place I talk about it publicly, is something called Invoice AI. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to attach a Google Drive to LinkMyBooks, where you can just dump all of your supplier and other vendor invoices, And our invoice AI will use vision to look at it, see what it is, categorize it, put an account on it, put a tax rate on it, add all the line items, and then ship that across to your Xero QuickBooks account as well. And then add all of that information into LinkMyBooks so you can then look at the profitability with all of those costs included. So really, really early days. We haven't even started developing it yet. It's just an idea that we are working on and sort of testing out and scoping. But yeah, I think with AI getting more and more powerful, something like that is going to really help customers to take that to the next level.
What about cost of goods? Like, for example, a lot of Amazon resellers who had like hundreds, thousand SKUs in their account, and they have the same SKU from different purchase orders with the different prices, different costs. How does it work for them?
We do have cost of goods sold tracking built in, so you can upload. So when we see that an item is being sold, we track the SKU and we track the quantity. And then you can enter your product costs on our system, and then we can then be managing the process of moving the sold inventory from your inventory asset account into your cost of goods sold account, so we can automate that whole process as well.
If you want to try LinkMyBooks, click the link in the description and start your free trial. Daniel, one more question. What are the trends you noticed from your perspective? Like, what happened to Amazon sellers, or how niche changing? Like, you work with sellers who sell on different platforms. What's growing? What's declining? What do you see here?
I think I've got two comments here. One is, I think in the early days when I was selling on Amazon, like in 2013, 2014, 15, it was very much the golden age of selling on Amazon. Like, it was really easy to start. It was really easy to manipulate search rank. And it was really easy to basically just take a copy product and put it on Amazon, rank it up high, make it a bestseller, and then reap the rewards. And I think that nowadays that is very much gone. I think that now, good thing for the consumer is that it's the genuinely good products that are making a difference. Like, you can't just go on Amazon and look on Helium 10 or look on Jungle Scout and find a profitable product and source exactly the same product from China and slap your badge on and ship it in and expect it to do well. Now you have to be looking through product reviews. You have to be searching through forums to find out what is wrong with these current products. What are the things that customers want to change about these products? And then you have to work with suppliers to change those things and make genuinely better versions, or add in extra products or services or subscriptions or whatever you can do to differentiate. Because I think gone are the days where you can just make another product and make it work. So that's the first thing. I think that better products are working their way up to the top. And I think that customers are benefiting from that, and good businesses are benefiting from that as well. A lot of that is around brand as well. So like building a brand around your product. And then the second thing, to answer your question about what is booming, what is up and coming, two words for that would be TikTok Shop. Because TikTok Shop is definitely a big up and coming sales channel. And we've seen a lot of our really large Amazon sellers who've tested selling on TikTok Shop and have ended up doing equally good on TikTok Shop as what they've done on Amazon, even though they've been doing that for like 6+ years, which is crazy. And I think the benefit of it is in the US and in the UK, they've got fulfillment. So they've got TikTok fulfillment services. So just like you can with Amazon, you send your goods in Amazon and they do all the customer support and shipping of the product, etc. You do that with TikTok as well. So, and the difference that I'm seeing is that instead of you paying Amazon for PPC, instead of you paying them to put you at the top of the list, the way that advertising works on TikTok Shop is you work with influencers. So you work with people who are really popular on TikTok, who can be talking about your product, and then customers can buy it in TikTok. And I think that this whole idea of buying stuff whilst socially browsing is like very, very new, and customers like it. They like that the fact they can just save their card details to TikTok, and when they're looking at their favorite influencers and they're talking about a specific product, they can click a button and they can buy that product straight away. And you, as a seller, do a revenue share with the influencer. So instead of paying every time someone sees your ad, you only pay when it's sold, and there's less fees. So there's a lot of good things about working on both platforms, and I think that sellers are really starting to take control of that.
Does it work for sellers?
I think it's probably better for private label, to be fair, because it's branded goods that the promoters are sort of affiliates are promoting. I don't think it would work too well with resellers, because you would have to. I don't think it would, no, to be completely honest. I think that the most of the people that I've seen doing well it's private label. It's things like supplements, beauty products, electronic items, things that are like easy to show the benefits of in a video.
Anything else you can share with our viewers? Maybe you have something to say, those who are watching us right now?
I think really for me, it's just about, it doesn't really matter where in your journey you are, whether you're a new seller, a power seller, or an accountant or bookkeeper who's dealing with sellers. I think the real important thing is making sure that you've got accurate financials so that you can make better financial decisions about running your business and you can be a more profitable seller. Going back to my favorite motto, which is revenue is vanity, profit is sanity.
Thank you, Daniel, for being us today and sharing your ideas. Thank you everyone who watches today, and if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. And don't forget to visit the sellerassistant.app for tools to grow your Amazon business, and try out LinkMyBooks at linkmybooks.com, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.